Hello and welcome to Goiânia International Racetrack in the city of Goiânia, close to Brazil's capital, Brasilia. Beautiful day, that's the beginning of the 20th season of Porsche Cup C6 Bank Mastercard. Brazil, 20 years of this sport in Brazil, of Porsches competing here and giving a great show for all the Brazilian public and since the last few years to everybody worldwide. Thank you very much for watching us, and we are ready for qualifying for the first two races of the Sprint Championship of this year. Like last year, we will have 6 rounds, 2 races each weekend, and first the race on Saturday, the second race on Sunday, and we're going to show both the qualifying sessions for Carrera Cup and the Challenge Series, the two main classes for Porsche Cup Brazil. And this race in Goiânia will have a very special driver who is Christian Fittipaldi, who is going to race in honor of his father, who passed away a week ago, and it was on one of the great names of international motorsports, as well as Christian is. We all know his passages through Formula Indy, through NASCAR, and Formula One, and he was everywhere, IMSA. So Christian will race in honor of his father, the late Wilson Fittipaldi Jr., who did the first and only so far Brazilian team in Formula One, Copersucar. You will be in this transmission with Mr. Sergio Lago and with Carlos Costa. Hello, Carlos.
Hello, Sergio. Very big pleasure to be here with you to broadcast one more season of the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series. As you said, very nice to have Christian Fittipaldi on the grid this round, paying tribute to the late Wilson Fittipaldi Jr., his father, brother of Emerson Fittipaldi. As you said, founder of the Copersucar Fittipaldi team, the only Formula One team that came from Brazil. So definitely one of the legends of Brazilian motorsport and of motorsport as a whole, I would say, a former Brabham driver. Of the sport, as we see now an aerial view of the Goiânia track. Christian Fittipaldi on the grid this weekend, but a lot of top drivers, as it is usual already in the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series. We have this Goiânia track as the venue of the first round of the Sprint Championship. As you explained, 6 rounds this year. Once more, we have a track that has 3,835 meters, 13 turns, one of the most traditional tracks of Brazil, and we can expect a lot of things. We saw the weather conditions previously, Sergio. Ideal conditions, I would say. Last year we had the Brazilian Stock Car Pro Series round as well, and Goiânia with a bit of rain. We hope that's not the case this time.
That's it, Carlos. And we are showing all these cars here, these beautiful Porsche Cups. After this qualifying session, we'll have the qualifying session for the Challenge Series, and there we have the Carrera Cup qualifying for the rookie class Carrera Cup, that this year will have 26 drivers. It's 2 more teams, it's 2 more teams than last year. It's an incredible numerous newcomers coming to this season, some drivers who did upgrade from the Challenge Series, and other drivers that are just plain new to the category. So that promises to be a very interesting season, Carlos, where we'll have the first race this afternoon at the same racetrack, and then tomorrow afternoon we'll have the second race of this first weekend of 2024 season. Last year's champion is not racing this season, so for the second year we don't have champions competing. So let's see what happens. Because it's all over. Great chance. As in the last 2 seasons, we have a very strong championship.
Yeah, as you said, we don't have the 2023 champion Nicolas Costa racing this season. He's currently racing, in the Endurance Championship, in the LMGT3 class, in a McLaren team that is operated by the United Auto Sports squad. But anyway, we have a lot of top drivers on the grid in the Carrera class. Interesting to mention, of course, the likes of Marçal Miller, Werner Neubauer, Alceu Feldman, traditional names already in this championship. We have once more Pedro Aguiar on the grid, also an important addition to this year's grid. And apart from the Carrera main class drivers, let's put it that way, we have the sport class drivers and the rookie drivers as well. As you said, some of the sprint challenge drivers now graduating to the Porsche Carrera Cup championship. We have 2 championships with 3 classes, let's put it that way, each. And we have the likes of Leonardo Sanchez also returning to the championship full-time this year. Gustavo Zanon, Israel Salman in the rookie class of Porsche Carrera Cup. So it's an interesting grid, and it will be a good opportunity to talk about the roster of drivers throughout the broadcast.
That's it, Carlos. Right now, Israel Salman in the Porsche number 51 leads the qualifying session. Of course, right now the only drivers at the track are the rookie drivers for the Carrera Cup. So then we'll have the other drivers coming. So the tendency is that these drivers will fall behind. And in second place, we have right now the Porsche of the third place is the Porsche of Gustavo Farah. And that's it, Carlos, with less than 5 minutes to go in this first qualifying session.
Yeah, as you said, first we have the rookie class drivers hitting the track, then the sport class, and then the drivers from the main class, if we can say so. Actually, it's not a proper class, the main one, but of course we need to make a big difference because the level of driver is quite different as well. We have pro drivers than rookie drivers.
Oi, Luke, ótimo dia para você também, para todos que estão ligados com a gente. Estou muito feliz de estar aqui. Quero trazer já informações, sabe como que é repórter, né? Seguinte, tô na frente do box do Edu Guedes, que como vocês bem lembraram, foi campeão da carreira Rookie em 2023. Ontem fez o melhor tempo da classe dele no treino livre 1. E troquei uma ideia aqui com o Bruno Tachek, engenheiro dele, disse que eles estão otimistas, que o carro tá bem acertado, que o Edu foi muito bem no treino livre, mas que falta um golinho. Aí eu falei, Bruno, que golinho é esse? Falta forçar mais, Gabi. O Edu precisa explorar um pouco mais a velocidade do carro. Vamos ver se ele vai conseguir fazer isso agora no classificatório.
Yeah, there we heard from Gabi Guimarães, our big reporter, talking about Edu Guedes. Edu Guedes, already one of the most well-known names of this series, I would say, and he actually has to search for the track limit a little bit more. That's what Gabi Guimarães was talking about, because Edu Guedes has room for improvement in this qualifying session. He has been racing in a good manner so far. We had already practice sessions throughout this weekend, but he still has time to get, let's put it that way, ahead of this qualifying session. That's what Gabi Guimarães was reporting.
Yes, that's exactly, Carlos. Right now we have Edu Guedes in the 4th position among all these 80 rookie class drivers, and still leading is number 51 of Israel Salman, and second place is number 24 of Gustavo Zanon. And that's Edu Guedes. That's Edu Guedes in the Porsche number 9. And we are getting close to the end of this session, and then we'll have the other sessions. So we'll see at the end who is going to be the first position, the pole position for the first race today of this 2024 season. Du Guedes, we can say, Carlos, is a veteran of the category. I mean, he's been competing for many years right now, and now he's in the Carrera Cup, so it's always good to see him there competing in the rookie class. And let's hope that sometime he passes to the sport class and eventually that he could advance to the main class. Right now, we have the leader in this session, Israel Salman, who also, Carlos, has had a great season last year when he competed in the Challenge Series.
Yeah, that's right. So Salman comes from the Sprint Challenge Championship, now graduating to the Carrera Cup Championship. Interesting to see this improvement from not just Salman, but a lot of drivers. We talked about the Du Guedes. We have to remember that he has won important titles in the Porsche Cup last year. The rookie class champion of the Endurance Championship, also managed to get the title in the rookie class of the Sprint Championship, so an important season for him last year. And he comes, of course, very motivated for 2024, so we can expect good things from him, even though the level of competitiveness in his own class is quite good, as we are talking about not just Israel Salman, but drivers such as Leonardo Sanchez that I mentioned, Gustavo Zanon as well. Gustavo Farah has been improving a lot throughout the years, apart from Bruno Campos, so it's an interesting class, and we can say the same for the sport one, apart from the main class of the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. Just to talk about the cars a little bit, this Carrera Cup Championship uses the Porsche 992 with up to 510 horsepower, so very powerful car, and we can hear by the roar of the engine. Sergio.
Exactly. Now, Du Guedes is second in this qualifying session. He stays behind only number 51 of Israel Salman. So it's a great effort by Du Guedes. Then we have Gustavo Zanon and then Gustavo Farah. So the two Gustavos are there. And then we have number 12 of Marco Pisani, who is new as well to the Porsche Carrera Cup rookie class. So that's very interesting, and that's probably the pole position for the rookie class, Carlos. That's number 51. He's already is in the pits. We don't expect him, of course, to have the pole position overall, but that's undoubtedly a great result for Israel Salman to start his 2024 season.
Yeah, definitely. As we have been talking about, Israel Salman had a very good season last year in the Sprint Challenge.
É isso, tô do lado dele aqui. Ontem a gente conversando nos bastidores, ele falou, olha, esse carro aqui é um trem diferente, é um negócio diferente. É o seguinte, melhor estratégia, né? Até porque ontem no treino livre 1 você já tinha feito o terceiro melhor tempo e agora consegue a pole position da tua categoria. Tá feliz demais, né?
Tô feliz. O aprendizado aqui é muito rápido. Você vai pegando o carro, você vai aprendendo, né? Mas a gente sabe que o maior desafio acaba sendo na corrida, né? Então, acho que é comemorar, porque foi um passo importante, não pode passar despercebido aqui junto com o time. Mas vamos focado aí para a corrida, fazer uma boa prova, com calma, terminar bem a corrida. Essa que é a ideia.
Pretende ser mais ousado, vai mais tranquilo? Qual que vai...
A gente tem que repetir, em geral, o que a gente fez aqui no Qualify, né? Então tem que manter uma constância boa nas voltas, tem que ser rápido. Mas é isso, tô muito feliz, assim.
Alguma coisa que você queira melhorar para a corrida número 1 ou isso você prefere deixar em off?
Vamos deixar em off nas estratégias aí, nós vamos guardar aqui para dentro da equipe.
Muito obrigada, viu? Parabéns aí, que você tenha uma ótima corrida 1.
Valeu.
Bem que ele falou, gente, que o carro é diferente, comemora muito com a equipe agora. Bom demais largar em primeiro dentro da sua classe.
Yeah, we heard there from Israel Salman. We were able to see Du Guedes there with his helmet paying tribute to Ayrton Senna, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Nelson Piquet. A very nice helmet layout there from Du Guedes. But Salman was celebrating, of course, his pole position. He was talking about the learning process with this new car. It's important to say that Porsche Carrera Cup uses the Porsche 992 car, and Porsche Sprint Challenge, in which Salman was competing last year, uses the Porsche 991-2. The gap of horsepower is considerable, up to 25 horsepower, so he has to adapt, of course, other different parts of the car. But anyway, he was celebrating, even though he said that consistency is key to getting a good result in race pace. Even though, as well, he didn't answer Gabi Guimarães' question about particular strategy for race 1 today. So let's wait and see what he will be able to do. Anyway, good performance from Israel so far.
Yes, exactly. And it's impressive, I would say, Carlos, how he evolved last year, how he developed his skills. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the sport class next year, the Carrera Cup sport class next year, as the sport class, the drivers of the sports class are just waiting for authorization to go into the track. They just got the green flag, so now we'll have nine drivers from the Carrera sport class fighting for a good time to start the race this afternoon in the International Racetrack of Goiânia.
Luque,
Gabi.
tô aqui do lado do Edu Guedes, aproveitar que ele conseguiu a segunda posição. Claro que queria ser o pole da categoria, mas mesmo assim um ótimo resultado para começar a temporada, né?
Sem dúvida, 0-1 do primeiro da categoria. É uma categoria muito equilibrada, os carros são muito iguais, então a gente fez o que foi possível.
Vai tentar repetir a dose de 2023, não?
Tem que tentar, né? Eu dei uma erradinha aqui na última volta, foi quando eu vinha mais rápido aqui na 0. Escorregou um pouquinho, eu demorei para dar o pé, mas foi muito bom.
É o que você vai tentar corrigir e melhorar na corrida número 1?
Sem dúvida. Corrida muda tudo e a gente pode passar vários carros.
Boa, obrigada, Edu, boa sorte.
Obrigado a você, um beijo a todos.
Yeah, there we heard from Edu Guedes. Gabi was asking him about his, of course, focus on repeating his 2023 successes. As I said, he won the class championship both in the sprint and the endurance championship last year. He was talking about the gap to Israel Salman, the pole sitter in the class, just 1/10 of a second. And Edu Guedes mentioned that he made a bit of a mistake in his lap time attempt there. His actually last one. But anyway, his focus is on improving for race pace and then trying to get the race win. Just to mention, we have Israel Salman that clocked 1:24.512. Edu Guedes is actually almost 2/10 of a second off the pace. Then Gustavo Zanon, Gustavo Farah, Pisani. That's it. We had Marco Pisani in the 5th spot, ahead of car number 60, that is Ramon Alcaraz, if I'm not wrong. And then we have Piero Cifali and Leonardo Sanchez. So that's the top 8 and the whole roster of drivers of the rookie class in this Porsche Carrera Cup Championship, at least after this qualifying session. Let's see how they will be divided after the first race, because that's where it all matters. Sergio.
Yeah, he talked about how tight has been the competition, Carlos, and in yesterday's free practice, the difference between 1st and 17th was less than 1 second in the free practice. So we can see there how tight it is. For example, Edu Guedes got the 10th best time there. Israel Salman was the 17th. He was exactly the last before hitting plus 1 second mark till the best time, which belonged to Werner Neugebauer. And Marcel Miller was 2nd, Christian Ham 3rd, Miguel Paludo 4th, and Francisco Horta was 5th in yesterday's free practice. Of course, today's qualifying session, it's a whole different ball game in free practice. Sometimes drivers use it to make adjustments to their cars, and in this qualifying session, of course, they will do their best. So we'll see what the real situation it is, Carlos, but for sure we expect it to be very tight indeed.
Yeah, definitely. And just to mention, the reference lap time so far in the weekend was set by Werner Neubauer in the practice session, 1 minute 24 seconds and 3:12. So I believe that this lap time will be surpassed, to say the least, by the Carrera Cup main class drivers. We now have the sport class, the intermediate division, let's put it that way, of Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil hitting the track, but it would be interesting to compare the previous reference lap times and the lap times that will be seen after the qualifying session. And just to mention an important factor as well, Sergio, for this first round, we don't have balance of performance. At least it doesn't have such a big impact in the first event of the championship. Of course, it is the first one, so we don't have the championship standing set, and then we all have the same condition in terms of car weight and that kind of thing. So the drivers are free to go full throttle and see what they are able to get, given their talent and the track conditions as well. So far, everything's so good. We don't have rain or anything like that.
Yes, right now a little bit under 7 minutes to go in the qualifying session for the sport class drivers. Right now, fastest among them is Roman Zinkevich, but of course we still, not Roman Zinkevich anymore. Now we have number 800 is the best, but they should advance. It's Raijan Mascarello, who is returning to the category this year. Raijan Mascarello in the sport class, who has already competed in the challenge championship, sprint challenge championship, but currently competes in the Carrera Cup.
Yeah, Raijan Mascarello, former sprint challenge champion. That's important to mention. As Sergio said, competing in the sport class, he actually made his debut in this class last year, if I'm not wrong, and now he's already fully adapted to the top cars of Porsche Brazil. Definitely one guy that is worthy to look throughout the season. Whoa, he went a bit wide.
Yes. That was Lineu Pires. That is Lineu Pires that we are seeing right now, who is also a driver that competes in the sport class. Last year, he was competing in the sport class as well for Carrera Cup, and there he is again. The main newcomers, Carlos, will be seen in the Sprint Challenge category. That's where many newcomers will be. In the Carrera Cup, we have a few newcomers, but some are upgrading, let's put it this way, from the Sprint Challenge category. So they are already familiar with everything in the Porsche Cup family in Brazil. They're just upgrading from one category to the other. But we have many newcomers in the Sprint Challenge as well, Carlos, in the trophy category, Sprint Trophy category, which is a category that had its debut last year. We don't air it in English, but you can see it in Portuguese. Will have its first race of the season tomorrow on Sunday morning. That's when they will have their first race. And that's a very interesting concept, Carlos, because it was created to breed new drivers, to give experience to new drivers who all have a coach at their disposal, so they can improve and eventually come to compete in the Sprint Challenge and then later on the Carrera Cup.
Yeah, that's it. It's a school category, as even Porsche Brazil says. And we see already some drivers graduating, as Sergio said. Sprint Trophy class championship actually made its debut last year, and we saw, for example, Eduardo Taurizano graduating from the Sprint Trophy championship to Porsche Sprint Challenge. And performing very well, by the way. We see other drivers graduating as well. Just to mention, we have, for example, Matheus Roque, Giuliano Bertuccelli, that were former Sprint Trophy drivers that will be competing in the Porsche Sprint Challenge this year. And as Sergio said, the new faces on the Carrera Cup Championship are mainly drivers that are graduating for the Sprint Challenge Championship, and others that are coming back to the series, such as Pedro Aguiar, for example. We have, of course, in this particular round, Christian Fittipaldi on the grid, but he will be replaced by Paulo Souza for the rest of the season. At least that's the information we have so far. And just to mention, we don't air the Porsche Sprint Trophy Championship in English, but if you are watching the English broadcast of the qualifying, you can watch the Portuguese broadcast of Sprint Trophy tomorrow, Sunday morning. And who's that, Sergio?
That's Nelson Marcondes. That's Nelson Marcondes, who spun is there right now, Carlos, with a little bit over 2 minutes to go. We have Porsche 56 of Peter Ferter leading all the Porsche sports class, the Carrera Cup sports class, and then Lineu Pires is in second with Francisco Horta in third and Raijan Mascarello in fourth, but we still have a little bit to go there, and we know, Carlos, very well that most of these drivers wait for the last minute, the last second to give their best and set up their best time. So let's wait and see how it will work. And we see there, very important, Carlos, Israel Salman right now, he is on top 10 there. So it's very important for Israel Salman. Actually, he is in the 6th position overall after the sports class drivers. At least until now, we still have a little bit over 1 minute to go in this session.
Yeah, and a lot can happen in this minute that we have to go. The clock is ticking, and as it is in Formula 1, for example, it's also the case in Porsche Cup. Track evolution is an issue, a good issue, I would say, for the drivers that don't have any mechanical problems throughout the qualifying session, as now we see Francisco Horta. And the drivers are pushing. We saw on the previous lap of Lineu Pires, he was going a bit wide, a little off the track there, passing the white line and hitting the curbs, but that's it. The clock is ticking, and they have to go for the lap time. They have to push full throttle in this moment, as we are getting in the final stages of this sport class qualifying session. And just to mention, the blue tag that we see on the screen is from the sport class drivers. The green tag to the left there is from the rookie class drivers.
Yes, Lineu Pires is still second. Then we should have Francisco Horta. Peter Ferter will have the pole position for this Carrera Cup sports class. So that's a very good start for Peter Ferter. Another driver who evolved a lot from last year. I liked a lot what Peter Ferter did last year. He was really, really good, and he is still improving. So let's see what he'll be able to do. Well, see, still Lineu Pires. Lineu Pires, who is second, spun there. That's the second car Porsche spinning in this session. But he will go back, and he had a great qualifying session. He is currently in second, but of course, we will still have 9 Porsches from the main Carrera Cup category coming. So we expect lots to change there in the starting grid for this afternoon's race, Carlos.
Yeah, a little bit of overdriving there from Lineu Pires, trying to get this pole position, but anyway, good effort from him. P2 on the class. Let's see if he's able to advance into the top 10 fight of the qualifying session. We'll have the main drivers after the sport class ones, and then we have the top 10 amalgamated to fight for pole position. So eventually Lineu Pires or even Francisco Horta will be able to compete if one of the 9 drivers, 1 or 2, anyway make any mistake. So far so good for Peter Ferter. We saw him chatting with his driver coach there, that is Diego Nunes, a former GP2 driver, by the way, so a very accomplished competitor, not just in Brazil but internationally. Diego Nunes, that is currently a TCR driver in South America. But as you said, Peter has been evolving quite a lot, and in the middle part of the 2023 championship, I think he got everything right in order to have good performances.
Tô do lado dele, eu já só tô falando com campeões, eu gosto de estreia assim. Peter Ferter, seguinte, ontem você fez o 4º melhor tempo, né, do treino livre 1. Hoje consegue o pole da tua categoria. Que ajuste você fez de um dia pro outro, assim? Que bom que foi na hora certa, né?
Então a gente tá muito contente com o resultado. Ontem a gente, no treino da quinta e da sexta, a gente estava com bastante dificuldade, andando mais para trás. Aí no último treino, nas últimas voltas, a gente endureceu mais o carro e resolveu, por incrível que pareça, assim, o acerto do ano passado. Para esse ano estava totalmente diferente a pista. A gente acha que a estoque andou a semana passada, emborrachou muito a pista, isso aí muda muito, né? Então a gente acredita foi esse o motivo. Ainda eu dei uma erradinha no curvão, ali era para fazer em terceiro, eu fiz em quarta, isso perde alguns décimos ali, então acho que podia até ter sido um pouquinho melhor, mas tá ótimo, né? Primeiro pole da categoria, tá espetacular.
Não dá para ser melhor, tem jeito melhor de começar o ano do que esse, não tem não, Peter?
Justamente, né? Isso aí é bom largar lá na frente, você evita já um monte de problema, de acidente, de se envolver em enroscar com alguém, então isso é muito bom. E pensar em campeonato, logicamente, estamos começando bem.
Vai repetir a dose do ano passado, tá nessa expectativa?
Vamos lá, vamos ver se a gente é campeão nas duas esse ano, na sprint e na endurance.
Aí sim, valeu, Peter. Peter trazendo isso justamente por ter sido campeão da endurance, agora também quer dar trabalho na sprint. Eu volto com vocês, Luke.
Yeah, there we heard from Peter Ferter. He was the champion in the class in the endurance championship last year, so tries to get the title in both of the championships, sprint and endurance. He was talking about the challenges that he faced in this qualifying session.
Por enquanto ele é pole.
Let's hear from Gabi once more. Anyway, just a quick intervention there, but Peter Ferter was talking about how different it was, the setup of the car, compared to last year's race at Goiânia. So he said that maybe the Stock Car Pro Series event that we had at Goiânia last weekend changed the track a little bit. He also said that he missed the proper gear in one of the turns there, so that had an impact on his lap time. But anyway, he was able to get pole position, and that's very important for him. He also said that he improved a lot from the practice sessions until grabbing this pole in the class. Let's see, of course, if Linneo and Peter will be able to advance to the top 10. But anyway, interesting scenario for him, and kickstarting the 2024 campaign with a good performance. And he also said that it is very important to have a good grid position a little bit ahead of the middle pack there, because then you avoid crashes and so on. Sergio.
Yes, exactly. And the intervention from Gabi, Carlos, was exactly that. She said, for now, he is the pole position. So it's true.
Luke, todo lado do Miguel Paludo aqui, ele que é o maior campeão da categoria. Eu preciso pegar uma palavrinha dele. Ontem, no treino livre 1, fez o 4º melhor tempo. E hoje, qual é a estratégia para conseguir esse pole position, hein?
Bom, a pista tem mudado muito em função da chuva, perdeu o grip de quinta para sexta. Ontem foi emborrachando, então com certeza essa classificação é um pouco de um ponto de interrogação para que lado ir de setup. Então espero que nós acertamos no acerto e aí podemos fazer o ajuste para o Q2.
Boa sorte, Miguel. Obrigada. Vou liberar ele aqui. Falou rapidinho, tá concentrado aqui. O piloto Miguel Paludo, afinal de contas, quer buscar essa pole position, né?
Yeah, we heard there from Miguel Paludo, one of the most famous drivers in Porsche Cup Brazil, multiple champion of the series, the guy with most titles, definitely one of the most important names in the series history. And he was talking about how the grip of the track changed throughout the last couple of days, because we had rain in the previous days, and then as we now see the layout of Christian Fittipaldi's car being tribute to Wilson Fittipaldi Jr. But anyway, Miguel Paludo said that he hopes that he got the right setup of the car for this qualifying session. It will be a challenge for him, as there we see Christian also wearing the helmet with the layout of his late father. So nice tribute made by Christian Fittipaldi to Wilsinho Fittipaldi, as we call him in Brazil.
Yeah, they had a very touching ceremony, Carlos, last weekend in the stock car, Brazilian stock car Pro Series that Peter Ferten mentioned, happened in the same racetrack, and it was Christian Fittipaldi honoring his late father Wilson Fittipaldi, and also Rubens Barrichello honoring Gilles de Ferran, which was a big loss at the end of last year for all the world motor sports fans, right, Carlos? Not only in Brazil, but Gilles de Ferran was known worldwide, and he lost his life. He was still young, kind of young, so it was a big surprise for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Gilles de Ferran was only 56 years old, so definitely very young. He had a heart attack. Actually, he was on track driving with his friends and so on. He was able to pull over, and anyway, unfortunately, he wasn't able to survive. Of course, the whole world of motorsports paying tribute to Gilles de Ferran, as Sergio said. Definitely a legend of the sport and worldwide, definitely. And also, it's interesting to mention that Gilles de Ferran transcended IndyCar or the series in which he drove for. For example, he didn't drive in Formula One, and the series was paying tribute for him in the season opener at Bahrain last weekend. Also a former sporting director at McLaren, the British American Racing as well, if I'm not wrong. So interesting to mention this tribute that was paid by Rubens to Gilles, his good pal, very close friend of Rubens, and now Wilson Fittipaldi also having the tribute made by Christian Fittipaldi.
Yeah, I believe Gilles de Ferran was with his son, no, wasn't it, Carlos? I believe he was. I'm not sure right now, but as I can remember, he was with his son as he pulled over when he felt bad, when he felt sick. But anyway, there we see the car from Christian Fittipaldi. Christian Fittipaldi, who is racing this race. And this car, Carlos, was supposed to be driven by, as you mentioned, by Paulo Souza. So I would say, at least for now, Christian is just substituting Paulo Souza in this race, and Paulo kindly ceded his place in the Porsche number 25 for Christian Fittipaldi, which was always great because he's a great guy. I believe everybody who had the opportunity to talk personally or meet Christian had this impression. He's a very nice person, very calm to talk with, and definitely he's like his father and his grandfather, who was a very well-known person in the Brazilian motorsports. He is a great name worldwide as well.
Yeah, definitely. Christian is a great character, and of course, we have to remember in this particular event that he's sort of a retired driver as well. So let's see what he will be able to do. As Sergio said, now getting Paulo Souza's wheel for this particular round. Paulo Souza actually had an injury, so it was in a way a good replacement, to say the least, Christian Fittipaldi in this Goiânia round. But anyway, Christian is indeed a very nice character, and until the end of his competitive career, he was a very good driver, winning a lot of races at IMSA, Daytona 24 Hours, multiple winner, apart from his Formula One and IndyCar racing days. So definitely a legend of Brazilian motorsport. And now back to the country. He actually was living in the US and came back to Brazil in order to be closer to his father that has now dead. But anyway, it's nice to see that he is enjoying his time back in Brazil and having this nice opportunity to race in such a nice car.
This session is a 10-minute session. Of course, we have a little bit over 6 minutes to go right now, as we see Miguel Paludo returning to the series. Miguel Paludo, who, as you mentioned, Carlos, is the most accomplished champion in the category. Last year, he was runner-up in the sprint, Porsche Sprint Carrera Cup category. Championship, not category, championship, but he was the champion of endurance and the overall champion as well. So he has a big curriculum, and he had the fourth best time yesterday in the free practice. So let's see what Paludo will show us this year, as he's one of the veteran drivers of the category as well. Carlos, as we have the return of Werner Neugebauer, Marcel Miller, and Alceu Feldman. These four drivers, they are always connected to the main Carrera Cup. Some come and go, but these four drivers are always there. Pedro Aguiar is also racing. He's been competing in the category for the last few years. So it promises to be a very interesting championship, as you have nine drivers competing for it. So it's a great improvement. Like I said, last year we had 24 cars in the Carrera Championship, Carrera Cup Championship, and this year we have 26. And there is Werner Neugebauer, who was fastest yesterday in the free practice.
Yeah, and just to talk a bit about Miguel Paludo, he's just the guy with most race wins in this series, apart from the guy with most titles. So definitely a legend of the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series, as we see Marcel Miller with his 544 car and the yellow layout sponsored there by Farben. But anyway, you talked about the reference lap time that was set by Werner Neugebauer yesterday, Sergio. Interesting to mention. 1 minute, 24 seconds, 3:12. The track record was set by Nicolas Costa, the 2023 sprint champion of Porsche Brazil. The lap record was set in 2023 as well, and it was around 1 minute, 22 seconds, 8:57. So let's see what the drivers will be able to do in this qualifying session.
And right now, Marcel Miller is the current pole position with the Porsche number 544. Then we have Lucas Salles, who is a very strong competitor as well. We've seen him evolving last year. I believe, Carlos, he was, yes, last year he was in the sports
Você
class,
citou o Lucas Salles, é muito legal ver isso na categoria, né? Ele é um dos exemplos de quem subiu da carreira esporte para geral, né? Então, essa evolução entre os pilotos é bem legal. Eu troquei uma ideia agora com o Rafa Suzuki, coach dele. Já conhecia ele de outras corridas, né? Digamos assim. E o Rafa disse o seguinte, que pelo desempenho dele no ano passado, quarta colocação no campeonato geral, a expectativa é alta. Ano passado ele já incomodava na geral, mas agora só tem, entre aspas, a geral para competir. E a ideia é que ele continue fazendo bons tempos, como ele vem fazendo agora já nesse início de temporada.
Yeah, nice information there by Gabi Guimarães. She was talking about Lucas Salles, that is a former sport class driver. We see him on the screen. You saw there his car number 70, as now we have the onboard camera of Werner Neugebauer's car. But anyway, Salles was a sport class driver until the end of the 2023 championship. And both of us, we talked about his performances a lot last year, Sergio. A very fast driver, and he was always there with the main Carrera Cup drivers. And now, for 2024, he is one of the main Carrera Cup drivers. Gabi Guimarães mentioned a chat that she had with Rafael Suzuki, that is Lucas Salles' coach. Rafael Suzuki, also a Stock Car Pro Series driver, actually won the first race of the weekend in the last weekend, in which Stock Car raced at Goiânia, by the way. And Rafael Suzuki was talking about the focus of Lucas Salles for this 2024 season. Of course, being a little bit more consistent and capitalizing when he's allowed, when he has the chances. Now we see his believe that Christian Fittipaldi asked. And of course, Lucas Salles, one of the cases of this series. It's always nice to see, and Gabi Guimarães highlighted that, Sergio, that we have drivers that are always improving and graduating class by class until they reach the Carrera Cup main championship. Let's put it that way. So let's see what Lucas Salles will be able to do this season.
With a little bit over 1 minute to go, we still have Werner Neubauer as the provisory pole position, but in second, Marçal Miller as the provisory pole position. Werner Neubauer is second, Miguel Paludo is third, Rodrigo Melo is fourth, and in fifth we have Christian Ham. So there we see these are the top five. Right now, this driver, Christian Fittipaldi, has not been able to set a very good time. He is 14th overall, and the only Carrera Cup driver behind him is Franco Giaffoni. Franco Giaffoni, who is coming also from the sport class to compete this year in the main Carrera Cup. So that's again, we see Lucas Salles, the detail of Lucas Salles, working, trying to improve his position. He is sixth right now. Let's see if he's able to improve as well. We see Pedro Aguiar, who races very well in Goiânia. Carlos, he's a very good driver in Goiânia. Let's see what he's able to do. But so far, he only has the 11th best time.
Yeah, but definitely an accomplished driver, as you said. Good driver, especially at Goiânia, and of course a lot of these competitors, they know this Goiânia track very well. It's one of the venues that receives a Porsche Cup throughout the year, and sometimes even more than one time per year. So it will be nice to see the final part of this qualifying session, and then we have the top 10 fighting for pole position. So that's why Gabi Guimarães said that until now, Peter Ferter is the pole sitter of the sport class, because so far we have 3 drivers of the sport class advancing to the fight for pole position.
Yeah, the qualifying, the top 10 will be right after this session. So I would say, Carlos, that the Carrera, there are 2 factors there. The Carrera Cup drivers will just be, coming fresh from the track. And then we have right now joining them Peter Ferter and Lineu Pires. Peter Ferter, who is 9th overall, and Lineu Pires is 10th overall, unless there is a change there. Christian Fittipaldi in the Carrera Cup is 14th, and then right behind them in 15th we have Franco Giaffoni. They're still there. We're still seeing Christian Fittipaldi. Let's see. I don't think at this point he'll get a better lap, but let's wait and see. Because of course, until the checkered flag is given to everybody, nothing is official, Carlos.
Yeah, that's it. But anyway, an interesting qualifying session so far. We see the drivers that we could expect to be topping the timesheets, such as Marçal Miller, that we see on the screen right now, Werner Neubauer, that was the fastest of the weekend until this qualifying session. Interesting to compare the lap time that was set by Marçal Miller, 1:23.530, compared to Werner Neubauer's effort in the practice sessions. Neubauer was able to clock 1:24.312, so we have an improvement already. Let's see if they will be able to catch up with Nicolas Costa's track record that was set in 2023, as we see Christian Fittipaldi going back to the pit. So P14 on the grid for Christian, and then we will have the top 10 of the whole qualifying session, the top 10 amalgamated, fighting for pole position. So I believe we can expect a main Carrera Cup driver claiming the first position of the grid, but sometimes there are surprises in motorsport.
Yes, I would say so as well, Carlos. And actually today we have, I mentioned it to be 9 Carrera Cup drivers, but we have cars, but we have 10, the main Carrera Cup. So, but anyway, positions from 11th and behind, they have been set up by these first three qualifying sessions. First for the rookie class, second for the sport class, and then for the main Carrera Cup. There we saw Christian, now Miguel Paludo, and we are waiting soon. It's supposed to be in like 1, 2, 3 minutes. We'll have the qualifying session that will define the pole position, the top 10, right, in the grid, and that will be very important because it's open for all so far. Even though, Carlos, I really am liking the performance by Marcel Miller. He is. He's a very strong competitor, and he gets lots of pole positions. He ended up at the end not getting the best results.
Seguinte, estou aqui do lado do Werner, que fez o segundo melhor tempo. E aí, qual a estratégia agora para garantir o pole position, hein?
No Q1 a gente faz o que precisa para passar. Agora é que vale. Então, vamos para cima.
Tá ansioso? Não vai me dar nenhum spoiler da estratégia, não?
Não.
Não pode. Obrigada, Werner. Você viu que ele foi curto e grosso, direto aqui. Ontem ele falou que eu sou muito chavequeira, que toda hora eu fico pedindo entrevista pra ele, mas que culpa eu tenho se ele faz os melhores tempos. Tentei trocar uma ideia com o Marçal também, mas sabe como é, né? Tá na concentração total, não quer dar entrevista agora. Disse o seguinte, só depois do top 10.
A quick chat there with Fernando Bauer. He said that so far he did what he had to do in order to advance in the top 10 that is fighting for pole position. So the maximum effort
até parece. Sabe que com um time fácil, aquele jogador que não vai tão bem, ele se entrosa, entendeu? Pega carona, igual você. Junto com vocês eu vou bem. Inclusive, Luke, estando com um narrador que tem só 15 anos na categoria, vai. Tô bem acompanhada.
And she said that she tried to talk to Marcel Miller as well, but Miller said that he will give an interview after the qualifying session. So this is the moment of concentration for the drivers. You mentioned Marcel Miller before the Neugbauer interview with Gabi Guimarães. Sergio, interesting to mention, he has been the runner-up for the last 2 seasons. He lost the title fight in 2022, the year in which I believe Enzo Elias was the champion, that's it.
Yes.
And then last year, Nicolas Costa winning the championship. So definitely Marcel Miller is one guy to watch. Go ahead, Sergio.
Carlos, wasn't Miguel Paludo last year's runner-up? I believe it was. Anyway, I had in my mind that was Miguel Paludo.
That's
at
right,
the
Miguel
end.
Paludo.
Marcel Miller was second for most of the season, but at the very end, Miguel Paludo, yes. He lost it to Miguel Paludo. Anyway, he had a great result. He's always very competitive and very tight. Carlos, I'd like to invite everybody who is watching us. The race this Saturday will be, our transmission will start at 1:30 p.m. Brazilian time, 4:30 p.m. GMT, and then at 11:30 a.m. US Eastern Time. So these are the
Só uma informação do Rodolfo Santos, o Werner guardou os 4 pneus novos dele para o top 10. Então o homem vai com tudo agora.
Interesting information there from Gabi Guimarães. Actually, Werner Neugbauer saved a set of fresh tires for this decisive qualifying session. So theoretically, he has a good situation in that matter. Let's see if other drivers did the same. And interesting that you remembered that Miguel Paludo snatched the second position in the championship last year from Marcel Miller, because as you said, Miller had a good situation throughout the whole season, but Miguel Paludo is that kind of driver. Sometimes you don't see him in the mix of the championship standings, but he's always there grabbing points, and in the end he gets a good position and eventually the title win as well. And important to remember that he got 2 titles in last year's campaign alongside Alan Hellmeister in the Endurance Championship, and also the overall title, as Sergio explained. But now the clock is ticking. Green flag for the decisive qualified session of Porsche Carrera Cup, Sergio.
Yeah, it's a 10-minute session, so the drivers can try to set up the pole position. We saw a very beautiful image in the exit of the racetrack. So they are, all these cars there. So it's very, very interesting. There you see Pedro Aguiar.
Yeah, and Marçal Miller on the spotlight right now. We have to remember he was the fastest of the previous quali session, so theoretically one of the contenders fight for pole position. And even though Werner Neubauer has saved tires, Marçal Miller is definitely one guy to watch, both of them. Fierce rivals from quite a while, as Lineu Pires is being showed a sport class driver. We have to remember that we have 3 sport class drivers, actually 2 sport class drivers, sorry, in this qualifying session. So Lineu Pires and Peter Ferter. Pedro Aguiar was able to advance to the top 10 that is fighting for pole position that we see on the screen right now. As there we see Peter Ferter. That's Christian Hahn, actually, with the same sponsorship of Peter Ferter. Peter Ferter races with number, let me double check here, 56, and Christian Hahn with number 26. So that's a bit confusing as well, but Christian Hahn, a younger driver, a former Stock Car Pro Series driver as well, has won races and titles, if I'm not wrong, in the Porsche Endurance Championship, so accomplished driver as well. As Alceu Feldman is trying to start a fast lap attempt there. We'll be seeing fast lap attempts from the middle of the section, onward. So we have a little bit more than 5 minutes to go in this quali session. Still too early to have representative lap times.
Yes, exactly. We see Alceu Feldman first right now, but none of the other drivers have an official time. And as you said, Carlos, they are just warming up their tires and everything. So it's very, it will be very tight, this battle, I believe, as they are, because tight was the qualifying, the free practice, and this should be very tight as well. This is Lineu Pires with the number 888. He is the driver from the sports class. He was 10th overall after the first 3 sessions. Number 29, Rodrigo Melo, was first. Now it's Peter Ferter from the sports class. But of course, as I said, this is just the beginning. We have less than 5 minutes to go, and soon we will know who will be the pole position for the race this afternoon. As I mentioned, we will start our transmission at 1:30 Brazilian time, or the time of the capital, Brasilia, which is the time in most of Brazil. Then that will be 4:30 p.m. GMT or 11:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Yeah, tomorrow we'll have the races as well, but I'll give you the time soon, and then that's it. So let's see.
Yeah, and I see that we have an interesting audience, not just at Motorsport TV, but also the YouTube channel of Porsche Cup Brazil. So if you're watching us, click the like button there on the platform and send us a message. But as Sergio said, we have one race today and then race 2 this Sunday, apart from the Sprint Trophy race that we have on Sunday morning. Unfortunately, we don't air it in the English broadcast, sorry, but anyway, if you're watching through the Porsche Cup Brazil YouTube channel, you can watch the Portuguese broadcast of Porsche Sprint Trophy as well.
There is again Lineu Pires. Lineu Pires, who is second overall at this point. But these last 3 minutes, should be crazy with many changes. Alceu Feldman leads, but we still have all the other drivers are very, very far away. We see that Lucas Salles' best time is 7 seconds behind Alceu Feldman. Neugbauer is over 7 seconds as well. Pedro Aguiar is 8 seconds, and so on. So the drivers should, get their best times right now, and then stay tuned with us because we'll have the qualifying session for the Sprint Challenge category. That's what we expect right now with less than 2.5 minutes to go. And now we have Rodrigo Melo is the best car so far. Let's see what Vernon Neugbauer will do. We saw him number 8, and that's 544, the car from Marcel Miller.
Neugbauer leading already. Yeah, that's it. 1:23.597, and look. The gap between Neugbauer and Marcel Miller in this moment, half of a tenth of a second. Also Feldman, 3/10 off the pace, so we are getting the representative lap times in this final moment of the qualifying session.
Neugbauer is first, Marcel Miller is second. Yes, his new tires might be working, Carlos, as Gabi informed us. He saved new tires for this session. So far it's working for him. Then we have Marcel Miller, Alceu Feldman, and the top 9 drivers are separated by less than 1 second. Christian Hahn is 4th, then number 20 of Pedro Aguiar is 5th. Then we have Rodrigo Melo, Miguel Paludo, Lucas Salles, and then Peter Ferter, and finally Lineu Pires. Let's see if any driver is able to improve their situation.
And I think that's it. The clock has ticked. Checkered flag. So last attempt for the whole grid, the top 10 that is fighting for pole position. And good situation for Marcel Miller. He actually was able to clock 1:23.3. So a little bit more than 0.2 of a second ahead of Miguel Paludo. Pedro Aguiar, that we highlighted earlier, that is a driver that has always been very fast at Goiânia, 3rd ahead of Vernon Neugbauer, so the lap times are improving.
Marcel Miller is the current pole position. There he is. Then Miguel Paludo is 2nd. Neugbauer is 3rd. So right now these are the top 3. Then Pedro Aguiar is 4th. Christian Hahn, Alceu Feldman, Lucas Salles, and Rodrigo Melo. let's say if they stay that way, time is gone already. The 10 minutes are gone. So any improvement might be in this last lap. And there he is, Marçal Miller, officially the pole position for the first race of this 2024 season for Porsche Cup, Carrera Cup in Brazil, which marks the 20th birthday of this championship of Porsche Cup in Brazil.
Yeah, what a performance and interesting quali session, because we had competitiveness until the very end, after the clock had ticked and we had the checkered flag being waved, and we didn't know who was the pole sitter. But anyway, a good effort from Marçal Miller. He deserves that pole position, as we saw there. Troy Sergio, his engineer, celebrating the result. Miguel Paludo not that far, even though we have to highlight that the gap between Miller and Paludo is quite representative. We are talking about the guy with most race wins and most titles that is sitting second on the grid for today's race. And Noik Bauer with a good performance as well. We see the top four separated by 0.3 of a second. And then Christian Hahn a little bit more than 0.4 of a second off Marçal Miller's pace. So good competitiveness in this qualifying session. We also can expect in the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. The same is valid for the Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship. We will be seeing the Sprint Challenge qualifying session in a moment, but we have to highlight that Sergio, the top 9 in the same second, only Peter Verter a little bit more than 1 second off the pace that was set by Marçal Miller. So 1:23.3, the lap time that awarded Marçal Miller the pole position for today's race.
Yeah, and at the very end, Vernon Neugebauer got second, Miguel Paludo be third. Then Rodrigo Melo improved at the very end of the session as well. He will be fourth. And then number 5, Christian Hahn. The top 5, these are the top 5 with Lucas Salles 6, Alceu Feldman 7, Pedro Aguiar 8, Peter Verter 9, and Lineu Pires 10.
Marçal, agora rola uma entrevista. Agora sim, ele estava guardando ouro para esse top 10. Está aqui para você. Deixa ele tirar o capacete. O homem é o primeiro pole position da temporada 2024 da Porsche Cup Brasil. Está aqui, Marçal. O troféu móvel de Pole Position 2024, tem que curtir muito esse momento. E aí, Marçal, a estratégia foi a melhor escolhida, inclusive em relação à escolha de pneus, né?
Realmente, a escolha de pneus, prefiro não abrir muito aqui. Mas a gente tinha um trecho 2 que não era tão bom no primeira classificação. Conseguimos ajeitar no segundo aí, garantir essa pole, que é muito importante aí para começar o campeonato largando na frente.
Tem jeito melhor de começar a temporada e a corrida número 1 largando lá na frente, sem se preocupar com quem está chegando depois?
Melhor impossível, né? Mas isso não garante nada. Agora é foco na corrida, tentar fazer uma largada limpa, imprimir um bom ritmo aí para tentar essa vitória.
O que você espera dessa corrida número 1? Acha que essa questão das estratégias vai ficar ainda mais acirrada? Porque agora, depois do classificatório, todo mundo sabe um pouco mais o que as equipes estão pensando, né?
Com certeza, né? A gente tem grandes concorrentes aí, que tem ritmo de prova muito forte. Então, como eu falei, tentar largar na frente, olhar para frente, tentar escapar um pouquinho do bolo ali, se for possível. Não é difícil, né? Quer dizer, é muito difícil. Mas, vamos lá, vamos tentar essa vitória aí, largando na frente, largada limpa aí, pra gente tentar sair na frente do campeonato.
Boa, então mostra o seu troféu aí pra gente. Tá aí, Marçal Miller, primeiro pole position da temporada 2024 da Porsche Cup Brasil. Parabéns, Marçal, obrigada. Volto com você, Luke.
We heard there from Marçal Miller, the pole sitter. He was showing his mobile trophy that is awarded for the pole sitter, and he said that he actually had to improve, especially in the second sector of the track between the quali sessions. So he was able to do that. He didn't talk that much about the tire strategy. Of course, he's not giving free information for his rivals. He said, of course, that even though he's very happy for the pole position, he cannot take anything for granted because the race is another thing. And he also highlighted the level of his competitors. We have to remember, alongside Miller in the front row, we have not any driver. Miguel Paludo, the guy with most titles and most race wins, apart from Werner Neugbauer that starts third, so right on Marcel Miller's tail, and we can expect a good race one today.
Yes, Carlos, and now we'll have the Sprint Challenge category, and the highlight, I would say, is Antonella Bassani, who for the second year will be competing in this category. She started last year and she became not only the first female driver to win a race in Porsche Cup Brazil. In Brazil, she was, if not the first, one of the first women to win a race of one of the main categories in Brazil. I believe she was the first as well.
Lucky.
But anyway, she was the first championship of one of the top categories in Brazil.
Tivemos virada de jogo, né? O Lineu já me disse aqui, eu gosto desse jeito, ele que foi buscar a pole position da classe Sport. E aí, ótima estratégia e não vou dizer que surpreendeu, porque ninguém duvida do teu potencial, mas querendo ou não, foi uma virada de jogo, de expectativa, né?
Com certeza, no Qualion a gente errou alguns pontos, a gente tentou consertar na primeira volta, eu acabei escapando e perdi o bigode. E sem o bigode atrapalha bastante o desempenho do carro. Mas a gente conseguiu reverter o jogo, fazer a pole. E é isso, agora é pra corrida, não tem nada garantido. Vamos tentar ir pra cima e tentar ganhar na Sport.
E a sua expectativa pra primeira corrida do ano, hein?
É grande, eu tô hoje, ano passado foi o Lucas Salles que ganhou, ele subiu. E eu fiquei vice, então eu tenho que cumprir com o papel, tenho que tentar ganhar.
Boa, tá aí a palavra do Lineu Pires. Muito obrigada, parabéns. Vai largar lá na frente da tua classe. Boa sorte, viu? Valeu, tamo junto. Tá aí a palavra do Lineu. Muito modesto, mas me disse, eu gosto desse jeito mesmo, surpreendendo.
We heard there from Lineu Pires. We talked about that the fact, that Peter Fechter was the provisional pole sitter in the sport class in the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. They both advanced to the fight for pole position in the top 10 amalgamated, and Lineu Pires was able to overcome his class rival. So actually, we have Lineu Pires starting ahead of the back in the sport class division there alongside Peter Fechter in the front row. So he was talking about how he improved from the first qualifying session to the second one, and he talked about his expectation for the season as well, Sergio, because Lineu Pires was runner-up in the class in 2023, losing to Lucas Salles, that is now graduating to the top class in Porsche Carrera Cup. So his, of course, focus is on winning the title in the class and then being promoted to the top Carrera Cup Championship. As now we see the Porsche Sprint Challenge qualifying session first, the rookie class, then the sport one. And you talked about Antonella Bassani, the champion last year. She will be competing in the main Sprint Challenge class. She was able to outperform Marcelo Tomazzoni in last year's championship. It was a controversial season finale, it must be said, but Marcelo Tomazzoni this year is competing in the Swiss Porsche Cup Championship, so racing in Europe, and Antonella Bassani is definitely one of the title favorites, to say the least.
Now we have a little bit over 6 minutes to go in the rookie class for the Sprint Challenge qualifying session. The three first qualifying sessions are 12 minutes each, and then as we had for the Carrera Cup, we have a final 10-minute session to decide who will be the pole position for the race this afternoon. So these are the results as we see right now. Car from Claudio Simão. That's him? Yeah, that's Claudio Simão. Although I don't have here Claudio Simão. Let's see here. Can you confirm it's Claudio Simão, Carlos? I'm not sure. Yeah, it's Claudio Simão.
Car number 58, yeah.
Yes, Claudio Simão, yes.
That's him.
Yeah, right now in first is Caio Chaves. Caio Chaves, there he is. That he's new to the category. That's one of the newcomers, Carlos. We have many newcomers, so even Claudio Simão is new in the sport class. Last year, Claudio Simão was in the rookie class. Now he's in the sport class. Marco Túlio is another one who will be new in the sport class. But in the rookie class, Claudio Reina in Porsche number 9 will be new. Alceu Feldman Neto will also be new to the rookie class. Wagner Pontes is new to the rookie class, and Lucas Locatelli is new to the rookie class. So many newcomers in this class, Carlos.
Yeah, nice to see. Interesting to see also Claudio Simão in the rookie class. In the sheet that I have here, actually, he's been showed in the sport class, but we see that he's competing in the rookie class. Anyway, a lot of new faces. Interesting to see also Feldman Neto, as you mentioned. Of course, a good family history in Porsche Cup this year. Apart from other faces, we talked about Antonella Bassani in the main challenge class. We also have Caio Castro back to the championship this year. Caio Castro, an actor in Brazil, but a good driver as well. He's a gentleman driver, of course, but quite competitive one. He was racing in the Truck Cup last year, but had a previous stint with Porsche Cup Brazil, so he's back to the series. We also have new faces in the Sprint Trophy school category, even though we don't air it in English. But anyway, it's always nice to see how these drivers improve, and from time to time they get to be promoted to the main Carrera class as well, even though we now see some of the promotions, especially from the guys that competed in the Sprint Trophy school category last year, such as Giuliano Bertuccelli, Matheus Roque, and so on. And interestingly, we don't see the main star of the Sprint Trophy and the Sprint Challenge Championship, both of them, I would say, that is Eduardo Taurisano.
Yes, indeed. When I first saw the drivers who would be competing this year, I missed him as well, Carlos, because he started in the middle of the season, or in the second or third race anyway, and he did a great job, actually. He was very aggressive and very interesting driver to watch. But anyway, he is not part of this year's championship, at least so far. But we'll have great drivers, and I'm looking forward to see again the performance of Antonella Bassani, because she's also very aggressive. We see very aggressive drivers in the Sprint Challenge category. As we are getting close to the end of this first session of the rookie class, and we still have Caio Chaves in the first position with Porsche number 54. Remembering it's his first season with Porsche Sprint Challenge. And in second place, we have Claudio Simão. That I would say, Carlos, you mentioned you have him as sport class. I also had him as sport class. That's why when I first saw him there, I saw very weird. Not weird, that's the wrong word. But strange, but anyway, he's in the rookie class. And there we have Alceu Feldman Neto with this old McLaren-like livery. And that's a very interesting presence, Carlos, to be competing. And let's hope he has a great future in the category as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned the livery. We always have interesting liveries in this series, not just in the cars, but also the helmets. So we talked about the Edu Guedes helmet paying tribute to the 3 Brazilian Formula 1 champions. Of course, Christian Fittipaldi paying tribute to his late father, Agostinho Fittipaldi. And there's always a lot of references in the liveries that we see throughout the year. So it's nice to see. And what's more, talking about the spec of the cars, the horsepower, we had the Porsche 992 cars in the Carrera Cup session, cars with up to 510 horsepower. This Sprint Challenge Championship has the Porsche 991-2 with up to 485 horsepower, and the Sprint Trophy, the category that uses the Porsche 991-1 cars, they have up to 460 horsepower, so it's a big difference of power. And of course, it's an interesting movement by the series, because these 991-1 cars were retired when we had the introduction of the 992 cars for Porsche Carrera Cup, and then Daniel Pires, Brazilian Porsche Cup CEO, had the idea to create a school category that is already a success. We had a good grid in the final stages of last year's campaign, especially. The series started with around 8 or 9 drivers, if I'm not wrong, and now we have a lot of names already that will be competing in this first round at Goiânia.
The second race for both Carrera Cup and Sprint Challenge this weekend will be this Sunday, and they will start at 11:30 a.m. Brazilian time, so they will happen a little bit earlier than this Saturday, 11:30 Brazilian time, which will be 2:30 p.m. GMT or 10:30 US Eastern time. On Saturday, this Saturday evening or early Sunday, that's when the US starts their summertime. So that's why the races today will start 2 hours before the Brazilian time, in US time, of course, it will be at the same time, but US Eastern time, it will be 2 hours before Brazilian time, and tomorrow it will be 1 hour before only, because we'll have the start of the US summertime. There we have number 177, that at the very end, Lucas Locatelli got the second best time. So great work by Lucas Locatelli at the very end, and so far he has the second position for the Sprint Challenge rookie class, just behind Caio Chaves.
Interesting performances, as you said. So we have Chagas, Locatelli, Claudio Simão, as well with an interesting performance. Just to mention the rest of the grid, we have Eric Santos there in the 4th spot. Behind him, actually, we have also car number 9 there that is currently being driven by Claudio Reina, a former Sprint Trophy driver as well, so important to mention. The fact that he's been promoted alongside some of his peers from the school category last year. And behind we have Paulo Totaro, a veteran of the series, Feldman Neto, and Wagner Pontes in the 8th position, sorry. So we have 8 cars in this class, the rookie class of Porsche Sprint Challenge.
Now we are getting ready for the 12-minute session for the sport class. So it will be the Sprint Challenge sport class. So let's see what will happen. So it will be 30 seconds right now to the start of this session. We see already the drivers and their cars prepared to go to the track. Again, a beautiful day in Goiânia, Carlos. Beautiful, beautiful day, windy. It's a very hot city. It's in the central part of Brazil. As I mentioned before, Goiânia is a city that's kind of, it's the capital, Brazilian state capital, most close to the Brazilian capital, Brasilia, and it's a beautiful area as well. You know, all this area there, they have many attractions, many nature, beautiful places to go around this track, but it's very hot there in this area.
Yeah, very hot indeed, and good to mention actually, a relief for most of the drivers, I would say, that luckily this weekend is not as hot as the last one, in which we had the Stock Car Pro Series event. It was hotter, and they had a lot of rains that actually had an impact in the schedule, because in the final stages of Q3, it started to rain, so it was a tricky situation. Now we have, I think, around 25 degrees Celsius, at least that's the information, or something like that we saw in the beginning of the broadcast. So track temperature is certainly higher than that, and no clouds. So at least the forecast for today's race, I believe, will be okay. So ideal conditions for racing. And you mentioned that the distance between Goiânia and Brazil's capital, that is Brasilia, around 200 kilometers, a little bit more than that, so quite close indeed. And Goiás state has a lot of agriculture, so it's a quite beautiful state, Goiânia, the capital of the state, and a very nice city as well, with a very good passion for motorsport. We always have a lot of people
homem, andei por aqui, viu? Mas agora sim, tô do lado do Caio Chaves, que já tinha dado um spoiler ontem, já tinha feito o melhor tempo no treino livre e agora, por enquanto, é o pole position da categoria Hulk. E aí, tá feliz da vida?
Ah, tô feliz, né? A primeira pole da vida. No treino a gente já tinha conseguido fazer os 2 treinos livres, primeira posição. E agora, consegui manter isso agora no quali. A primeira a gente não esquece.
Boa, o que você espera da corrida número 1 hoje, hein?
Ah, a corrida hoje vai ser bem legal. Minha primeira vez aqui nesse autódromo. Vamos tentar manter o primeiro do Hulk e tentar buscar os da frente também, da outra categoria.
Caio, vai segurar esse pole position?
Vou segurar ele. Vou segurar de qualquer jeito ele, não vou largar não.
Boa sorte, obrigada, Caio. Agora sim, valeu. Tava atrás desse homem, que ele não tava no box dele. Mas agora sim, Caio que fez 1:28.04, feliz com o seu primeiro, por enquanto, pole position.
Yeah, nice interview there with Caio Chaves. Provisional pole for the rookie class, but I believe he will be pole position because we have now the sport class drivers and then the main sprint challenge drivers, so it will be difficult for the rookie competitors to go to the top 10 in order to fight for pole position. So theoretically we can assume that he will be starting ahead of the pack in his class. Very young driver, as we all were able to see. Actually his first time in the track, so already kickstarting his story with the international Ayrton Senna circuit in a very good fashion, and very happy. Caio Chaves saying that he is focused on winning in his class, but also aims to get closer and closer to the guys of the sport class, and why not the main sprint challenge class as well. So a young and bold driver there ahead of the pack in the rookie class.
Yeah, he was first yesterday in the free practice among, of course, the rookie class drivers. He was able to keep this position today, so it's a very good start for him. In the category yesterday, the fastest one was Miguel Mariotti in the Porsche Challenge number 21. Now we are watching the Sprint Challenge Sport Class. Number 71 is San Joaquin, who was a rookie before. Last year he was already competing in the Sport Class, but in 2022 he was in the rookie class. That's another drive that sometimes he can be very aggressive as well. There we see he going off track. Of course, that will not help him with his qualifying effort, but let's wait and see. Right now, the fastest one is Célio Brasil among all the drivers that entered the class, and actually he was just surpassed by Seba Malucelli. So Seba Malucelli is first at this point, and with Célio Brasil second, and so far they are the only two sprint challenge sports class drivers who are ahead of the rookie drivers. But we expect that will change as we have more than 6 minutes and a half to go in this session for the sports class guys of the sprint challenge category, Carlos.
Yeah, a lot of time to go until checkered flag. Now we have one more driver off the sport class in the top 3. So Seba Malucelli, Célio Brasil, and also Marco Tulio. But interesting to compare this current lap times, especially Malucelli's effort in around 1 minute 26.978 as we see on the screen, and compare with the former reference. Actually, still the reference, because Miguel Mariotti, driver from the main sprint challenge class, clocked 1 minute 26.409. So that's the benchmark so far in the sprint challenge championship. He's comparing this lap times to the practice sessions that we had earlier in the week.
This is number 7 of Luis Souza. Luis Souza, who last year was competing in the rookie class in the sprint challenge. So that's another driver who did upgrade from last year. Again, we have this aerial view of the Goiânia International Circuit. It's a very interesting racetrack, as Carlos mentioned. People from there, from this area, they love motorsports. It's the central part of Brazil, and we still have number 100 of Seba Malucelli first. Second, we have driver Marco Túlio. Then in third, we have Célio Brasil. After him, we have Leonardo Hermann. Leonardo Hermann, who is also new to the sport class, Carlos.
Yeah, Leonardo Hermann, also a former Porsche Sprint Trophy driver. I don't remember if he was already in the beginning of last year's championship in the Sprint Trophy School category, but anyway, I remember from the final stages of the season, if I'm not wrong, good performances from him. So Hermann also graduating there and already directly to the sport class, so the intermediate division, let's put it that way, of the Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship. Alongside him, a former Sprint Trophy driver that is Matheus Rocchi and Giuliano Bertuccelli as well. So interesting grid, and let's see what the veterans will be able to do competing against these newcomers. So far so good for Malucelli, but Luis Souza, for example, is only 5th in this moment, so room for improvement definitely for Souza. Now we have all of the sport class drivers ahead of the rookie class drivers.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened yesterday, Carlos. The difference between all the sprint challenge drivers is way bigger than the difference between all the Carrera Cup drivers. In yesterday, I remember telling during the Carrera Cup qualifying that the difference between the top 17 in yesterday's free practice was less than 1 second. But for these Carrera Sprint Challenge drivers, 1 second separates the first to the 6th. So, and then 2 seconds, less than 2 seconds, the first to the 10th. So that shows a huge gap, huger gap between these drivers than among the Carrera Cup drivers.
Yeah, and we can expect so, of course, based on the fact that we have new faces in this grid, the Sprint Challenge grid, especially the Carrera Cup grid has former Carrera Cup drivers and some that are graduating from the Sprint Challenge main class, so theoretically already competitive drivers. In this Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship, we have former Porsche Sprint Trophy drivers that are still learning and still trying to be consistent, and we can see that it has an impact on the lap times. And now we have, as you said, the top 6 split by the 1 second margin there. San Joaquin already more than 1 second off Seba Malucelli's pace, but there is still room for improvement, and it will be interesting to see the gap between the main Sprint Challenge drivers, talking about Christian Moore, Miguel Mariotti, etc.
That was Célio Brasil, yes.
The noise was quite funny. Happily, no one did crash into Célio Brasil's car. Let's see if there's a replay of the incident.
Yeah, he's 5th overall up to this point. There he is on 139. Behind him is Leonardo Herman, and this is Luis Souza.
Let's see.
You've asked for it, Carlos. There it is.
Yeah, he went a bit to the outside line, a weird trajectory there when trying to hit the apex of the corner. Sorry, and now once more, ooh, almost a crash there.
Yeah, now it was Leonardo Herman. As we are under 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, that's it. That compromises the effort of other drivers as well, because let's see the replay. Herman spins. There's a car behind that was probably in a fast lap attempt. Then, of course, possibly the located yellow flag being waved there, and that's it. End of the session. But all of these drivers, they are ahead of the rookie drivers. Who is that? The pink car.
I believe it's Matheus Roque.
Yeah,
Let's
I think so.
check.
Eventful session. We didn't have
yes.
many driver mistakes in the Carrera Cup qualifying session, but now, interestingly, in the sport class, that is the intermediate division, and not that much in the rookie class. But of course, these guys are in a bigger level of competitiveness, the sport class drivers, even though they are not pro drivers still. So, of course, mistakes can happen, and let's see if that has an impact also in the tire sets that are available for race 1 today and also race 2 tomorrow. But I believe that it won't be such a difficult situation for Série Brasil, for Matheus Roque as well, apart from Leonardo Herman.
And the provisional pole position for the sport class, sprint challenge sport class, is this Seba Malucelli. But he will certainly, Carlos, participate in the top 10. So the last qualifying session.
Oi, Luke, tô aqui exatamente do lado dele, dono do melhor tempo, por enquanto pole position. Seba, ano passado, na tua primeira temporada, você vinha me falando que não teve boas memórias, né? Nas duas primeiras corridas daqui em Goiânia, não foi tão bem. Hoje a sorte mudou, você conseguiu um ótimo tempo, um ótimo resultado. Feliz da vida, né?
É verdade, Gabi. Realmente, ano passado aqui em Goiânia não foram boas corridas. Tive um acidente numa, uma rodada em outra. Então a gente veio um pouquinho com apreensão aqui para Goiânia, mas muito focado, tivemos muitos treinos e a gente conseguiu aí, tá fazendo uma boa lição de casa, aprendendo aí. Deu o primeiro aí na categoria, tem mais, acho que vamos pro top 10, né? Vamos focado aí, acho que a gente está bem, pelo menos na classificação. E depois, claro, as corridas, esse sol aqui é muito quente. Vamos ver como a gente se sai nas corridas.
Ontem você fez o 4º melhor tempo, né, no treino livre 1 e agora consegue fazer o melhor tempo. O que mudou de estratégia? O que você sentiu de diferença de ontem para hoje?
Na verdade, agora mais cedo está um pouco mais frio a pista, então a gente consegue ter um pouquinho mais de performance nos pneus, né? Ontem também no segundo treino a gente estava também um pouquinho já no equipamento um pouco mais desgastado, mas agora tá bom, tá bem, tá tudo ótimo. Vamos forte para a corrida.
Bom, agora para cima para o top 10?
Vamos para cima pro top 10.
Obrigada, boa sorte.
We heard there from Seba Malucelli. He was mentioning the fact that he had an eventful Goiânia round last year with a crash and a spin in both of the races, so he was a bit apprehensive, but anyway, he was able to build up into this qualifying session after interesting practice sessions the last couple of days. He also talked about the fact that the qualifying session being early, it helps because the track is not that hot, so they can use the tires with a good performance for a longer period of time, and eventually he was able to be faster in this first qualifying session. Of course, he'll be in the next one because then we have the main challenge drivers, Sergio, but only 6 competitors, so he will be waiting until the top 10 amalgamated goes to the fight for pole position, and let's see if he will be able to confirm this provisional pole, because he has class rivals alongside him. So Seba Malucelli there in the lead of the sport class pack, but Marco Tulio isn't that far. Matheus Zocchi, and Luis Souza as well.
And that's Caio Castro there. This is Antonella Bassani. She is the first to hit the track again, 12 minutes for this main sprint challenge qualifying session. Caio Castro returns. He's a very competitive driver, even though, as you pointed before, he's a gentleman driver, but he's a very competitive one, very aggressive, and he surely is a driver who is there to win, Carlos. He's not there only to have fun. I mean, I believe all drivers are there to win, but some have, I would say, more desire. They have it. They're more competitive in their minds, and I believe, at least from my point of view, Carlos, that Caio Castro is one of these gentleman drivers who hates to lose.
Yeah, he is a fierce competitor, as you said. It's a tricky situation because you cannot overdrive, you cannot block your rivals or anything like that, but it is good to be competitive. As Rico Penteado says, Rico Penteado is a former Renault Formula One engine chief. It's better to train a lion and teach him how to be gentle than to expect a cat to be aggressive in a racetrack. So that's pretty much the situation of Caio Castro, and we have to remember that he's already experienced in motorsport as a whole, a gentleman driver. As I said earlier today, he's an actor, but had a season in Porsche Cup Brazil, I believe, in 2022, then competing in the Truck Cup in 2023, and now returning to Porsche Cup. So even though he's a gentleman driver, he already has a bit of experience, also has competed in rally a bit, and of course this aggressive mindset, I think it will be helpful for him thinking about the title run.
There we had Miguel Mariotti before. This is Gerson Campos, was Gerson Campos. Yeah, we're under 10 minutes to go. This is the main sprint challenge class, or the main sprint challenge drivers. It has Antonella Bassani, who is the current champion with the Porsche number 72. And races will be this afternoon, starting at 1:30 p.m. Brazilian time. It will be 4:30 p.m. GMT, 11:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern time. Tomorrow, race 2 of this weekend will start at 11:30 a.m. Brazilian time. That will be 2:30 p.m. GMT or 10:30 U.S. Eastern time. As we see there, Antonella Bassani. Before we had Christian Moore in the Porsche number 3. Christian Moore, Carlos, who is also a veteran of the Sprint Challenge. He's been competing in the Sprint Challenge for a few years. Let's see how he performs this year.
Yeah, and quite fast driver, has been unlucky sometimes, but he's a regular of the series, let's put it that way, already for a couple of years. Quite competitive driver, and he has been trying to, let's put it that way, fight for the title until the very last round, because in the last couple of seasons he started the season well, a good beginning to the campaigns, but eventually he lost ground to Marcelo Tomazoni, in the previous year to Raijan Mascarello, and he was not able to fight for the title until the very last round. Of course, in order to be a champion, you have to get to the season finale with championship chances. But anyway, he has to be a little bit more consistent, because speed we all know that he has, and of course a lot of experience in the series as well.
Right now, Christian Moore is in 5th. Now we see the main sprint challenge. This is Caio Castro. His last so far, he didn't set up any time. Carlos, let's wait and see if he can do it now. as we highlight him. Let's wait and see. He's dead last at this moment. Of course, we still have lots of time to go. And now we have finally the drivers from the main sprint challenge. They are on top. And Gerson Campos is currently first with, in second place, we have Miguel Mariotti, who was fastest yesterday. Miguel Mariotti in the Porsche number 21 was the fastest driver yesterday in the free practice. But we have to remember, after this session, we will have yet another 10-minute session with the top 10 overall to decide who will be the pole position for this Saturday's race.
Yeah, but this lap time that has been made by Sadaki Leite is already quite interesting one. 1:26.06. Yeah, that's it. So let's compare to Miguel Mariotti's benchmark that we had until the beginning of this qualifying session. Miguel Mariotti was able to clock 1:26.4. So already 4/10 of a second faster, and that shows already the track evolution throughout the qualifying session. It's getting closer to the hotter moment of the day, and we saw their car going a bit wide. But if you compare the Carrera Cup lap time, they were quite faster as well, 1:23.3 for Março leader compared to 1:24.3 from Werner Neubauer earlier in the weekend. So I believe that the final qualifying session of the Sprint Challenge Championship will be very interesting in that matter as well.
We have the 6 Sprint Challenge main drivers right now on the track. This is Antonella Bassani. Right now, she has the 7th best time overall. The only driver still remaining there of the sport class is number 100 of Seba Malucelli, who is in 5th overall. But of course no. Let's see, some other drivers might get a better time than he does. And again, yesterday, it was very clear the top drivers were all the main sprint challenge drivers. Then after them, we saw all the sports class drivers, sprint challenge sport class drivers, and after that, the rookie class. So it was very different from the Carrera Cup, where there were more mixes, let's put this way, between the classes, as we see Sadaki Leite already on the pits. He has the 2nd best time. I think, Carlos, he's guaranteed there, and many drivers are returning to the pits. They don't need to make any extra effort at this point to go to the qualifying session for the top 10.
Yeah, we have only 6 drivers in the main sprint challenge class, let's put it that way, and the top 10 amalgamated will go to the final qualifying session in order to fight for pole position. So they just have to clock the lap time there. Of course, faster.
Já tô fazendo anotações aqui.
Luis Souza, at least, and they are guaranteed, so no need to risk the equipment. And of course, I believe that the ones that are still on the track, they are making preparation there. Of course, trying to check if the setup is right for the final qualifying session.
Yeah, Miguel Mariotti, for example, we saw their Porsche number 21 got the best time, but the important time will be the one set in the next session. So, but anyway, it's good. Like you said, he's still working on his car, trying to improve, trying to make things better. This is not a live image. This is an image from Sadaki Leite before. And in a way, this session and did end before the end of the session, because I think they are all guaranteed. It's 6 drivers, and you see there are 4 drivers from the sport class will advance. They will be Seba Malucelli, number 100, then Marco Túlio, number 55, then Matheus Roque, number 32, and then Luis Souza, number 7. So we have the final session with the 6 drivers from the main sprint challenge category and 4 drivers from the sport class.
Yeah, and we saw it because only 6 cars, the top 10, nominated advances to the fight for pole position, so they don't need to risk their equipment, as I said. So the drivers that return to the pits later, they were actually checking setup and so on. And interesting
Bastante gente. Tô indo atrás do Miguel Mariotti pra gente conseguir pegar uma palavrinha dele. Por enquanto tá falando aqui com seu coach.
Gabi Guimarães is trying to chat with Miguel Mariotti there. Interesting to see what the top drivers will be able to do, because theoretically, Sadaki Leite, that's important to highlight, he's not as competitive as Antonella Bassani or Christian Moore or even Miguel Mariotti. We have to remember that Sadaki Leite comes from the sport class. So let's see what he will be able to do when competing against the drivers that are already from the Sprint Challenge main class, that were already of the Sprint Challenge main class, or in 2023. That is the case especially of the reigning champion, that is Antonella Bassani. Antonella Bassani actually, Sergio, became the first woman to win a Porsche Cup race
agora
em Goiânia.
Sim, tô com o Miguel Mariotti, tava conversando com o coaching por aqui, agora vai com tudo pra cima desse top 10 pra garantir de fato pole position, né?
A gente deu uma boa volta aí na classificação, conseguimos aí o primeiro tempo, né? Agora vamos acertar umas coisas aí pra tentar melhorar um pouquinho mais aí pra garantir essa pole aí.
Boa, obrigada, Miguel Mariotti, vou te liberar, tá concentrado aqui, Luke quer ir com tudo pra esse top 10.
Just a quick word there from Miguel Mariotti. He didn't talk that much, but said that he's focused on improving his lap time effort. Of course, there's always room for improvement. We have the 3 sectors of the track that are quite different between each other. The first and the final one quite high-speed sectors. The intermediate one is a very tricky and technical sector, lower speed section of the track, and the driver has to get everything all right in order to have a good lap time. That's why some of the drivers, and Miguel Mariotti actually was one of them, they returned to the pits later because they were checking setup, as we see the mechanics checking also the tire pressure there. So it's always a difficult situation to set up the car in the proper manner for the decisive qualifying session.
Yeah, this session should start in about 4 to 5 minutes. So we are close to there. There we see the Porsche from Antonella Bassani. And another very interesting thing about this team,
feminina,
Carlos, I think Gabi will interview her, and that's what she's saying, that all the crew is a female crew for Antonella Bassani. All the team is a female team, so that's very, very nice and interesting.
Agora dos seus resultados, ela que é a atual campeã, nesse momento fez o 4º melhor tempo, no treino livre 1 de ontem tinha feito o 5º melhor tempo e agora vai com tudo para esse top 10 também. Vou ver se consigo pegar uma palavrinha dela. Só não quero atrapalhar a estratégia da nossa atual campeã. Esperar a liberação aqui para conseguir pegar uma palavrinha dela antes do top 10.
Preparing there for the final qualifying session, but that's it. As Sergio said, Antonella has a whole female crew for this season, and that's important as well because the female presence in terms of driver lineup is not that new in motorsport as a whole, worldwide, I would say, even though seeing girls like Antonella Bassani, in her case we can call her a girl because she's still very young, the winning, it's always nice and it's not that common, but we can, for example, mention Danica Patrick in the US, but the whole crew being female, it's important because you have press officers, engineers, and that's something that is not that common in motorsport.
Algum spoiler da estratégia para daqui a pouco? Como é que você está se sentindo e também a expectativa agora para o top 10?
Bom, muito feliz de estar concorrendo aí de novo na categoria, né? Obviamente agradecer a todo mundo pela oportunidade. Mas sim, temos uma estratégia sim para a segunda. Eu acredito que eu possa melhorar ainda alguns trechos, falta um pouquinho de mim ainda. A gente deu uma mexidinha no carro para ver se eu consigo melhorar junto com o carro. E eu sei que meu ritmo de corrida é muito forte e a classificação não vai importar tanto para mim aqui em Goiânia.
Muito obrigada, a torcida por você é grande, espero que você faça um ótimo tempo. Agora quem sabe pole, né?
Tomara, né? Vamos ver.
Obrigada, Antonella. Ótima corrida. Tá aqui, concentrada. Palavrinha rápida da nossa atual campeã da categoria.
Sergio, she talked about how happy she is to be on the grid once more. Actually, interesting to see that she's still in the Sprint Challenge Championship. I was thinking about maybe a promotion for her actually graduating to the Carrera Cup. But anyway, I'd like to mention how different she is in this first round of 2024 and the first round last year, Sergio. You will remember she was very nervous ahead of her debut, which is very normal. As I said, a very young driver still, but now already very confident as the reigning champion. And she says that the grid position is not that important for her. Of course, she will try to get pole. But anyway, she says that the race
Uma fala muito madura no auge dos seus 17 anos, né?
Of this round. And Gabi Guimarães, our pit reporter, highlighted she's only 17 years old. So, what do you think? A little bit more confident, I would say.
Oh yes, I agree totally 100% with you. And Carlos, she's not the only female driver with a only female crew competing this year in Porsche Cup Brazil, because we have also Letícia Buffoni that will be in the sprint trophy that, as I mentioned, the race will be tomorrow morning. We don't broadcast it in English, only in Portuguese, but it's an entry-level category for the drivers to learn and to further upgrade. And Letícia Buffoni is an Olympic athlete. She is champion in skateboard, so she is very, very accomplished, and she will race tomorrow in this sprint trophy category. So that's very interesting what Porsche Cup Brazil is doing in this sense, trying to develop and to give a great opportunity for female drivers to be able to show their skills, that they can be as good as men drivers. And I believe it's just a question of opportunity, Carlos, because we see in the very beginning of the career, we see a lot more boys, let's put it this way, racing than girls. But more and more we see girls in the go-kart, racetracks, and all this. So I believe and I hope one day we'll have really, female drivers competing for the championship, like Antonella Bassani proved last year that it can happen, and that a girl, she's not, we could call her a girl, right, Carlos, with 17 years old. She's a teenager. A teenager being champion of one of the main categories in Brazil.
Yeah, but what a fast and mature teenager, I would say. And as I said, Letícia Buffoni, now competing in Porsche Sprint Trophy, a pro skater and an Olympic athlete. As Sergio explained, interesting to have this information. And of course, we have to praise the opportunities that Porsche Cup Brazil gives to female drivers. And of course, we are talking about this specific matter after Women's International Day. And anyway, very nice to see Antonella Bassani evolving a little bit more, also in the mindset side of her whole package as a competitor. She is very fast, as we all know, but now a little bit more confident, which will be useful for her, and it will be difficult to beat her in the title fight. But also Letícia Buffoni will be an interesting star on the grid throughout the rounds this 2024 season. Sergio.
Yes, we are in the final 10 minutes of the Saturday's morning qualifying session. we already know the pole position for the Carrera Cup to be Marçal Miller with the Porsche 544, but now we'll see the pole position for the Sprint Challenge category. Both races you'll be able to watch here with us this afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Brazilian time, 4:30 GMT, or 11:30 a.m. US Eastern Time. Carlos, would you put Mariotti as the favorite to get this pole position?
Difficult question, but I believe that considering his pace throughout the whole weekend, also in the practice sessions, the fact that he had a longer stint in the previous quali sessions, so I believe one of the favorites bet on Antonella Bassani because she's a reigning champion and her racecraft is getting better and better and better. Apart from that, we all know that she's very aggressive, going a little bit wide there, but of course taking advantage of the fact that they can go through the white line, they can cross the white line and hit the curb. My bet is on Antonella Bassani.
So let's wait and see.
Isso não tem aqui nos boxes, hein? Tô achando injusto.
Gabi, I think she just answered to a comment in the Brazilian
Combinado, vou
transmission.
esperar.
Carlos, and let's see now in this final session what will actually happen. Right now, Antonella Bassani is ahead of everybody, but as we mentioned before, during the Carrera Cup final round, final session for the pole position, most of the best times will happen with under 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, and in the previous qualifying session, we saw lap times around 1:26.0, so she's 4/10 off the pace, the reference lap time that was set in the previous qualifying session. So a lot to come still.
Yeah, Seba Malucelli is second up to this point. Then we have Gerson Campos in fourth, Christian Moore, and in fifth we have Sadaki Leite. Miguel Mariotti is still in sixth, but we clearly see that he does not did his best time so far. He is 2 seconds behind the first time of the best time so far of Antonella Bassani. And there he is, number 21 of Miguel Mariotti.
The front end of the car dancing a bit there in that turn entry. Let's see his lap time.
And there he goes to the top of the charts. So Miguel Mariotti is on top of the charts. Then second is Antonella Bassani. And third so far is Gerson Campos. And there is Antonella. She said, Carlos, pole position is not that important, but I believe she downplayed it a little bit, you know. Of course she wants pole position, but it's true what she said. She does very well during the races. We saw that last year when she was in one, if not the biggest overtaker, and that's Sadaki Leite going off track.
Yeah, and Sadaki Leite currently fastest overall, 1:26.212. We have to remember once more that the fastest lap time that was set in the previous quali session was around 1:26.0. But Sadaki Leite speeding that may compromise his effort because of the tire set. Let's see.
There is Mariotti. Let's see what he'll do now. Miguel Mariotti is second. Let's see if he jumps to first. He's first again. Miguel Mariotti is first again with the Porsche number 21. And look at his team. They are very excited. They are anxious to see the session end. So they, who knows, might commemorate the pole position for this first race of the season for the Sprint Challenge. And again, it's the 20th year of Porsche Cup competing in Brazil. What an accomplishment, Carlos. 20 years of very competitive racing, which started in Interlagos with a small number of drivers, and today is for sure one of the main categories in Brazil.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt about that. So 20th season of Porsche Brazil. Whoa, Sadaki Leite going off track
that's
there.
It for him. That's it for him.
Yeah, and just to mention Miguel Mariotti's lap time, a very quick one, 1:25.9. So fastest lap time so far. Thinking about the Sprint Challenge competitors and the whole weekend, but talking a bit of Porsche's history in Brazil, the series started in 2005, so 20th season in this 2024 campaign. Interesting to mention that from the very first year, Porsche Cup Brazil has been a support event to the Formula 1 Grand Prix that we have at Interlagos. So from the very beginning, a top series in the Brazilian motorsport scene, and we always have to praise the job that is done by the whole Porsche Cup Brazil crew, especially the CEO, that is Daniel Pires, and it's I would say a privilege to be broadcasting once more this category, because it is very well organized. It has a good level of drivers. The cars are spectacular, as we see on the screen, and the events are also very well organized. So now let's check who claims pole position for the Sprint Challenge race 1.
And one big surprise so far is this car there, Carlos, Seba Malucelli. He's second overall with a sport class car. So it's just behind the Miguel Mariotti, who would be pole position as of now. Let's see if he keeps this position. Number 32 is Matheus Roque, and he's currently is last among the top 10. And he's from the sports class. There he is. Let's see if he can improve his time. I believe he stays there, dead last. He's 1.5 seconds behind the leaders. This is Antonella Bassani. She's currently 4th overall. Let's see if she improves her time. She has ahead of her Sadaki Leite. Sadaki Leite already went to the pits. And I believe that to be it, Carlos. Maybe still, yeah, so far all the cars are going back to the pits. So we should have as pole position Miguel Mariotti.
Yeah, I was betting on Antonella Bassani, only P4 on the grid for her. Don't know if she saved a set of tires or something like that. It may be the case given what she said in the previous interview, talking about that race pace is more important for her. But Miguel Mariotti has been fast throughout the whole weekend. That's why you were talking about him as a potential pole sitter in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship ahead of this first race of the year. So later today, but Miguel Mariotti deserves, and interesting to see how they were able to get better and better lap times throughout the whole weekend. Now 1:29.5, 1:36, actually 1:25.9, sorry. So that's the reference lap time that was set by Miguel Mariotti, 1:25.937, and the previous benchmark before the qualifying
Miguel
session
já processou o primeiro pole position da temporada. Que comemoração emocionante com a sua equipe aqui.
É muito emocionante. É minha primeira pole na categoria. Depois de 3 anos, finalmente consegui uma pole. É muito feliz com toda essa torcida aqui, famílias, patrocinador aí. Muito emocionante mesmo. E agradecer a torcida de todos que estão aí acompanhando, meus amigos que estão aí na TV. Um abração a todos. Vamos focar agora de tarde para a corrida.
A primeira a gente nunca esquece, né? E acha que vai trazer uma ótima sorte para você também na corrida número 1 agora?
Tomara, né? Vamos tentar fazer uma corrida bem segura ali, largar de primeiro, tentar conseguir ganhar a corrida também, né? Que é muito bom também. E vamos ver aí de tarde o que conseguimos fazer.
Você já tinha dado um spoiler, né, no treino de ontem, a gente já tinha conversado com o melhor tempo. Você acha que conseguiu manter isso agora no top 10? O que fez diferença para você com esse bom resultado logo no início de temporada?
Sim, desde quinta-feira conseguimos ser muito velozes aqui, conseguimos alinhar muito bem o carro. Foi muito bom, né? Conseguimos uma velocidade muito alta aí. Então, só agradecer a toda a equipe aí, meu mecânico, meu engenheiro, meu coach aí, que conseguiram deixar o carro no jeito aí para me fazer a pole.
Boa, agora vai com tudo para a Corrida 1.
Isso aí, vamos com tudo aí. Conto com a torcida de vocês.
Valeu, obrigada, Miguel. Boa sorte. Vai comemorar muito agora. Tá comemorando com vocês aí na tela também. Muito, muito emocionada toda a equipe dele aqui. Afinal de contas, a primeira é diferente, não é não, Luke?
Yeah, we heard from a very happy Miguel Mariotti. Actually, he told us something that I didn't remember. First pole position for him in 3 years, Sergio. So what an achievement, and actually he was talking about the fact that he was fast straight away from the practice sessions that started Thursday. So nice to see him back to pole position, and now the focus is on winning the race, even though it's a big challenge. But a very happy Miguel Mariotti there, and we have to applaud his effort because he was quite faster than his own benchmark.
Tô indo atrás do Seba, já entro com vocês.
Let's see if Gabi Guimarães is able to interview Seba Malucelli, that is now confirmed as the pole sitter, in the sport class of Porsche Sprint Challenge. So interesting qualifying session that we had, and Miguel Mariotti, of course, he has to celebrate in a calm way there because there's still the race to come today, but first pole position in 3 years, Sergio.
Yeah, that's a big accomplishment, shows he is evolving in the category. I believe it was a great effort by Seba Malucelli
Eu não
as
deixo
well.
os pilotos em paz. Seba, vem aqui, que o sinal é um pouco melhor do lado de fora do box. Bem que a gente falava que a sua sorte mudou agora em Goiânia, conseguindo essa pole na Sport, né? Tá feliz da vida, né?
Tô super feliz, pole na Sport e segundo na geral, largando da primeira fila, coisa inédita para mim. Vai ter aquela ansiedade na largada, está ali já de cara para o vento, com o primeiro ao meu lado direito. Mas muito feliz, um trabalho, como eu te disse, Gabi, muito bem feito aí ao longo do final de semana. Estou confiante agora, mais confiante, porque ano passado eu já falei foi ruim, né? Então vamos agora descansar um pouquinho, se alimentar bem. Mais tarde o sol aqui vai pegar, vamos com tudo.
Eu impedi sua hidratação ali, você já estava tomando um negocinho, precisa mesmo. Mas já está pensando na estratégia para a corrida a número 1 agora à tarde ou não ainda está processando o ótimo resultado agora no top 10?
Não, claro que vai ter um pouco desse processamento agora, né? Foi realmente muito bom resultado, mas já temos que pensar na corrida, né? As alegrias aqui duram pouco, mas é por um bom motivo, a gente tem que ir com tudo agora. Vamos fazer o nosso melhor, com certeza.
Boa sorte, Seba. Não só sorte, como também muita competência. Parabéns pelo resultado. Obrigada. Volto com você, Luke.
Nice chat there with Seba Malucelli, and we have to remember that he's not just the pole sitter of the sport class, Sergio, but also second overall in the sprint challenge grid for race 1 later today. So very good performance from the intermediate division driver to almost 3/10 of a second off the pace that was set by pole positioner Miguel Mariotti.
And we'll be saying goodbye by now. We'll see you again at 1:30 p.m. Brazilian time, 4:30 p.m. GMT, or 11:30 a.m. US Eastern time for the first round of racing in this 2024 Ford Cup Brazil season, first Carrera Cup, and then Sprint Challenge in this wonderful start for the 20th season of the category. Thank you everybody, and see you then.